Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks podcast. And today we are basically going to be talking about all things Manchester United. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, including like what Sir Jim Ratcliffe has done so far at the club and what he potentially would do heading into the new year after 2 years now, because by December Christmas Eve, I think, was it Christmas Eve or Boxing Day? One of the two. Yeah, we shall know, like, basically what next with Manchester United and everything in between. So welcome. If you're joining in for the first time, please do not fail to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to Manchester United. So also going to be talking about basically the Manchester United £120 million gamble with regards to Man United's midfield obsession. We're also going to be talking about a few other things, including a loan swap deal for Manchester United's midfield gamble, the 60 million relegation clause or opportunity, and also, like I said, the Ratcliffe revolution. We've talked about it before in the last video, but we're going to do it again now, basically just talking about the Ratcliffe revolution. And yeah, so let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we build on these things and stuff. But yeah, it is what it is. So the first thing we're going to be saying we're going to be dissecting one of the most fascinating and contradictory transfer windows Manchester United has ever faced in years. We're also going to be talking, we're going to be talking about like all the other things, including, the ideas with regards to transfers. So forget about the summer splurges. The mantra for the mantra for January is simple. We're going to be cautious, we're going to be optimistic. I mean, that's for Manchester United. Cautious and optimistic, and then ruthless at the same time. So cautious, optimistic, and ruthless. We have an incredible amount to cover. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we have a lot to cover today. Yeah, we have an incredible amount to cover. We have a surprise loan swoop as well for a top English midfielder, the potential exit of fan favorite academy star, a chilling real-life story about the abuse in the stands, and the full details of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's revolution that has seen 450 people, leave the club or be let go at the club. But let's start with the deal that perfectly encapsulates United's January strategy. That is a high-risk, high-reward midfield merry-go-round involving one of England's brightest stars, basically. One of England's brightest stars or talents. Now, that is the Gallagher Mainoo swap deal, midfield swap deal. The question is it a risk or a reward? I mean, Manchester United are entering the January transfer window with their wallet glued shut unless an absolutely perfect opportunity presents itself. The Man United are wary of the dreaded panic buy, so no panic buys. They're saying no panic buys this time around. So we're wary of the dreaded panic buys. We're also wary of a whole lot of other things. We're wary of short-term fixes. We're wary of trying to sign players that will potentially regret in the summer and all of that. We're preferring to wait for those long-term targets like Baleba and Anderson and the rest. So basically, a new opportunistic deal has emerged that could actually change the dynamic of the midfield, and that is a loan swoop for Atletico Madrid midfielder and English English and England international Conor Gallagher. Now, this is a complete U-turn for the club. United actually turned down the opportunity to sign Gallagher. It was reported yesterday that Man United turned down the opportunity to sign Gallagher on deadline day of the summer window. But now the stars have aligned, and Gallagher, who is 25 years old, has played only 30% of the available minutes under Diego Simeone this season, and is reportedly open to returning to England to secure game time ahead of the upcoming international commitments, and that is the World Cup. Now, the proposed deal is a smart one for United, an initial loan move, basically in January with a £45 million option to buy in 2026. This depends on financial costs that allows United to audition the player for 6 months without a pressure of a massive upfront fee. So that would be super interesting to see what that would be. As for what's his name, Conor Gallagher, I'm not particularly perturbed or obsessed with the idea of Conor Gallagher coming to Man United. I'm not opposed to it as well, but then I'm not like really blown up out of the water with regards to that. He's kind of like we're signing another kind of like Mason Mount kind, but he's more of a central midfielder or box-to-box midfielder. He's gained valuable experience playing for Crystal Palace. He's proven. He's played for Chelsea. He's led Chelsea as captain as well. There's also an opportunity there which we can actually maximize or take full advantage of. So we'll observe and we'll let you all know. But let's move on to the huge complication, which is Kobbie Mainoo. Now, the popular 20-year-old academic graduate has fallen out of favor under Ruben Amorim, as it has been predicted. Obviously, Ruben Amorim wants him to achieve certain metrics to be able to ascend greater heights playing for Man United. But also, he was injured in the last game. If not, he could have come on. But Ruben Amorim has played him just 14 minutes this season, 14% of minutes this season. And Mainoo remains a target for clubs like Atletico Madrid, for clubs like Real Madrid, Napoli, and Leeds. And Amorim and the hierarchy are reportedly considering letting him leave on loan, but only if a replacement can be found or can be secured. Gallagher's arrival would also pave the way for Mainoo's temporary exit, and this is a classic Amorim decision. He wants to bring in a player he believes is better fit for his demanding high energy system in the short term, while giving Mainoo the minutes he needs to develop. And it's a harsh assessment of a promising young player, but a ruthless, pragmatic move to immediately strengthen the squad with Premier League proven England international who is desperate to prove himself. It's a swap that could solve a short-term problem, but also comes with emotional risk of pushing a talented academy star out of the door. Now, the question is, can this happen? I don't think so. It is all a report, it's all rumor, and we'll only observe and let you know as things pan out. But as far as I'm concerned, this cannot happen. Mainoo will not leave. Gallagher, well, might come because we need bodies in midfield, so it might as well just get him on loan, and then he becomes that defensive midfielder that supports Casemiro and competes with Manuel Ugarte, amongst other things. So it's one of those things where you just have to kind of like make do with what you have and basically build momentum with whatever you can get from the club. So it is what it is. We have to just kind of be positive and be hopeful that something positive comes out of this deal. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we build towards that. So the question is, would you guys like Kobbie Mainoo to leave? For me, I wouldn't. Would you like him to stay? Yes, I will. For our top fan, ITN, he's always saying that he wants Kobbie Mainoo to stay, and he wants Kobbie Mainoo to also get minutes. So will Kobbie Mainoo get minutes? Most definitely. So we have to just observe and be hopeful that things pan out the way we want them to. Which takes us to the next one, which is the headline of our thumbnail, and that is Joao Gomes. But before we get to that, we're going to okay, no, let's not do that. So before we get to that, let's basically just talk about Joao Gomes straightforward. Now, there's a £60 million relegation bargain in Joao Gomes, right? And basically sticking with the midfield of Man United and the need for us to actually get a player who actually fits the profile of players that we need. United's cautious approach has Man United eyeing a massive potential bargain, and this is where, you know, being opportunistic comes into play. And I've talked about this a couple times. I've talked about this like loads of times with regards to Man United signing certain players. I've also talked about the opportunity of, you know, making good use of players who have played the system but also are in bottom clubs and they've shown or proven to be very efficient in this system, either as squad players or as full-blown like players, right? But you know, I talked about rating this Wolves team because they have like 2 or 3 or 4 players that can actually play the system. So like I said, while sticking with the midfield, Man United are showing significant interest in Wolverhampton Wanderers dynamic Brazilian midfielder Joao Gomes. Big up to you, ITN. Thank you for joining. Yeah, so we talked about this. I think the last 3 days now we've been talking about this whole Joao Gomes situation. Why is this transfer opportunity suddenly on the radar for January? Because of Wolves' horrific form. Well, what do you guys think? The rumor had it that it was going to be a summer transfer, but now we're seeing that it is going to be a January transfer. What do you guys think? It's one of those things where we have to just kind of be cautious, right? Now, Wolves are currently rooted near the bottom of the table, or pretty much the 20th team in the table, and if their relegation looks increasingly likely by mid-January, they might be forced into an early sale to raise crucial cash, and this is a cold, hard reality of Premier League economics. But you see this thing about Manchester United, you see this thing about the transfers. One thing I can tell you for a fact is that the moment Manchester United get into this deal, the moment Manchester United becomes interested in this guy, Joao Gomes, the fee doubles or triples. If Joao Gomes is going for like 30-40 million now, he'll be going for around 100 million by the time Man United registers interest. These are all rumors. We're already seeing a figure which we'll talk about in the next phase of this conversation. But the moment Man United gets in, the United tax enters, and you see where Manchester United start to get charged high prices for players who are supposed to, you know, be delivering, or who are supposed to be pretty much cheap because we're getting them from Premier League clubs, right? So that's the thing, and that's the issue we face right now at the club. So Man United are showing significant interest in Joao Gomes, and that's because of Wolves' form, basically. And like I said, Man United should try and read Wolves for like 2 or 3 or 4 players that can play this system, because they've played this system under Vitor Pereira for a long time. Now, Gomes is a player who ticks many boxes for the new hierarchy and Jason Wilcox. I think there are 2 players. In fact, you can take the 2 central midfielders and you have 2 replacements for the central and the defensive midfield of Man United. Wolves previously valued the Brazilian at a figure of around £60 million. However, if relegation looms, the fee could drop significantly, turning him into a bargain for United. Right? Now, the interest is serious with Amorim and Ineos and the Ineos hierarchy, you know, reportedly considering a move as early as January, which I wouldn't be opposed to because he's such a good player. I've seen him. He's very athletic and a box-to-box kind of guy. This is not just a rumor, it's a calculation. United are betting on Wolves' struggles to unlock a top quality player, and I think he's just 22 or 24. I think we did that research yesterday. He's a top quality player, you know, and at a cut price fee as well. It's a strategy designed to capitalize on another club's misfortune, you know, to kind of align the United's new goal of securing high value, high potential targets. And for someone in his early 20s, pretty young, he'll be a good bargain for Manchester United. And if we're going to look pretty quickly at his at the guy, Joao Gomes. Joao Gomes is he's a player that, you know, seems to be doing bits, especially for Manchester United. You look at him, Brazilian international, 24 years of age, and then basically his style of play, he's actually a central midfielder, but can actually play as a defensive midfielder and an attacking midfielder. So there's opportunities there. There's a situation where we can actually, take full advantage of this opportunity. He's not really doing well at Wolves, but there's a little bit of like greens where he is when it comes to stats. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's had 6 shots this season with an XG of 0.36. He's played 836 minutes, so pretty much been playing for a while. And then he's Brazilian, so there's a high chance that he is a top talent. I mean, that's how Wolves have been. I mean, you remember Vitinha. Vitinha came to Wolves. He didn't feel like maybe he was basically going to thrive in Wolves, but he has been to PSG and is now a world champion. I mean, not a world champion, but a UEFA Champions League champion, right? And he's won the league multiple times, and he's dictating play. He's the mainstay of the Portuguese national team, and you can see him. He has a defensive work. He runs back and defends, but he also dictates play. He's the dictator, the tempo creator in the team, even when playing against Ruben Neves and all of that. So Joao Gomes is a good deal. Well, we will see. We'll observe as well. Then we will, talk about it and stuff. I've already done a video earlier about this one that we're going to talk about. It is actually the unseen revolution, which basically I talked about in the last video when I called it the Ratcliffe revolution. Ratcliffe's £130 million fix, basically. We're going to talk about that. Now, while we focus on players, the biggest, most seismic changes at Manchester United have been happening not on the pitch, but behind the scenes, driven by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Ineos team. This is a story of corporate shockwave designed, to save United from what Ratcliffe called a potential goal bust scenario by Christmas, and this was by 2024, right? When Ratcliffe took a 27.7% stake, he made 2 key vows: take the club back to the top and to make it profitable. The financial reality was eye-watering and all of that, with losses of around £113.2 million as of June 2024, right? So basically, the first step was a harsh, shocking exodus. The new hierarchy concluded that the club was over-dimensioned. Basically, the club was bloated. Too many people are doing too many jobs, and a structure that only worked if United was winning the Champions League every year, right? So in just months, there was an initial call or job cuts of around 250 staff from Manchester United. Now, a second round of cuts was made for of 200 redundancies, which followed later in the year, totaling around 450 job losses. Now, virtually, the complete overhaul of the senior management was also executed rapidly, to avoid dragging out the inevitable unease in the job. So you just needed to just do everything, yank everything, strip everything down and start again. Now, this was painful, but the impact is now evident in the financials. The Gargantuan losses have, been cut to a manageable £33 million in the latest accounts as of last year, as of the end of last year. The club anticipates eventually becoming profitable as the time goes on. It's kind of like what you do in like when you're talking about being a project doing project plans and business analytics, you get to a point where you have to do a lean. There's something in Lean Six Sigma where you have to kind of do like a lean, basically a lean everything, lean management, lean club, lean processes, lean operations, and all of that. So in project management, that is what you do. You kind of just do like an agile treatment or agile methodology with regards to managing everything, making people more versatile in doing multiple roles. Instead of having multiple people doing multiple roles, you can have one person doing multiple roles and others doing overseeing and all of that. So this was what the cost cutting was all about to create at the time, to eventually make the club more profitable. But the rebuild was more than just the cost cutting. It was also being about being cutting edge. Ratcliffe described the club's approach to data analytics as being in the last century, and you've seen reports over the last couple of hours where they talked about data analytics being measurable. And to fix this, he brought in Michael Sansoni from the Mercedes F1 team as the director of data. Sansoni has completely revamped the data capabilities, which are now being used extensively across performance, recruitment, and training. Right? And I saw something during preseason where Man United players, as they are about to enter the pitch, they wear the tracker. Now, that tracker, I can totally understand that it happens across clubs, but I saw that they had to do it from the time they entered the pitch. And yesterday I noticed something when Cameroon was playing against DR Congo, where Bryan Mbeumo, a Man United player, I think I looked at all the other players. I didn't see anybody wearing a tracker, but I saw Bryan Mbeumo wearing a tracker on his back. And you could tell that, obviously, looking at the way Sansoni is operating at Man United and the way Sir Jim Ratcliffe is wanting to operate at Man United, that this tracker is also essential for some of the stats with regards to Bryan Mbeumo when he comes back to the club. So, yeah, and all this data will be collected and analyzed, and we can also get, performance-related data, right? So, now these data analytics and capabilities that Sansoni is actually using, that it works across performance, recruitment, and training. This push for data and AI has accelerated United's analytics team to be among the top 4 teams in the world, which I analyzed yesterday, and I thought maybe they were talking about top 4 teams in the Premier League. But like I said, we read these news and we break it down live on the live stream, so we don't so we have a live reaction, so we don't kind of have reaction as if, like, some of these pointers and stuff, I've read them like online to try to give you the news that you can use, but we are reacting to these news live, right? So it's not like anything. Now, the key senior appointments have been made across the board as well. Key senior appointments are made across the board. CEO Omar Berrada, Director of Recruitment Christopher Vivell, and a complete overhaul of the medical performance staff, including a new doctor, physio, and performance chef. These are the things. New doctor, new physio, a performance chef, a performance staff, overhaul, Christopher Vivell. There's also the Omar Berrada and the Jason Wilcox situation. The key two survivors of all of this whole overhaul that have been going on is they are Colette Roche and Martin Mosley, to provide a crucial link from to the past, basically, for transition and to kind of have a historical perspective to everything. Also, the goal is very clear: to compete to win the Premier League and the Champions League every year, which is a fact. The changes haven't been made for a Europa League spot. Nope. They have been made for the very top, basically, to win the league or the Champions League. And it could look like to other fans like a far cry, but this seismic revolution is laying a new, leaner, data-driven, financially sustainable foundation for success for Manchester United. Even if the on-the-pitch results are still playing catch-up, I see a lot of fans who come out and say, "Oh, that we're still playing catch up, we're still in catch up mode," and stuff. But it's one of those things where you have to just basically, analyze and look at it from the perspective of, for Man United fan, we see that Ruben Amorim came in, ripped everything down, and started again when it comes to building the culture. Sir Jim Ratcliffe came in, ripped everything down, and started again when it comes to building a club from scratch. And he's come out and they've had an opportunity to tell everything to the fans, tell the club, tell people, basically just giving them a hint of an idea as to what is actually going on. And in a telling interview, Jason Wilcox actually came out to say some of the things, including how transfers operate and what they do, the processes involved in securing players and stuff. So it's one of those things you have to just kind of look at and basically analyze. But yeah, if you've watched the live so far to this point, thank you for joining in. And now there is also a tactical challenge with regards to Amorim's 3-4-3 system. From the entire player discussion, from Gallagher to Mainoo to Gomes, everything all ties back to the man in charge, Ruben Amorim, and his complex tactical demands. The 3-4-3 system, which is a 3-box-3, now 3 lines, 4 boxes, four players in a box, and 3 players in the attack, is it employs the unique. Amorim employs this unique formation of unique system that requires specific profiles of players. Former Man United boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who we talked about yesterday, but drilling down into some of the other aspects of the interview, he gave out the overlap. He gave an honest assessment, saying that this system is horrible to play against when it is done well. When it is properly executed, it is very horrible to play against. And he highlights the difficulty it presents, to teams trying to press high, especially when you saw the evidence against Brighton, right? Now, you almost, according to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you almost have to go man to man, follow every run, track everything, and even then, it is still tough. The key insight, however, is that for the system to really click, you need teams to press you, right? That is what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was trying to explain and all of that. Now, this is actually borne out by United's recent results. According to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he says they tend to win more games when they've got 45 to 50% possession rather than 60 to 65% possession. That is true, or can be true in some quarters, but if we're looking at Manchester United, yeah, that's fine. Yep, thank you very much, DJ Darkest Night. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Drop in your comments and let me know your thoughts and feelings as well on all things Manchester United. So we're talking about the Ruben Amorim, the formation and the style of play and all of that based on what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said. So we're looking at it based on the stats, because I'm looking at stats now based on like what is the average formation, what is the average possession. So if we're looking at that, we could actually get some sense of stats basically to understand what is actually really going on at Man United and everything in between. So I'm trying to kind of get the stats going, right? So if you look at that, you could tell that maybe some of the facts maybe could be true for Manchester United when it comes to ball possession. Now, what I'm quickly going to do is I'm going to look at Man United's last 3. Okay, so let's come down to November 2025. I'm going to go to Man United's last 5 games, the 3 wins in October and the 2 wins in November. Now, the 3 wins in October, you can tell basically based on stats. We're going to look at the stats of that game and all of that, and then to give you kind of a sense of an idea what is going on. Man United ended that game with 51% ball possession. So that is for Sunderland. We're looking at the Liverpool. I know we're going to be ending with less ball possession. We had 36% ball possession. Then you look at the Brighton game, we had 43% ball possession. Okay. You look at the Nottingham Forest game where we drew 2-2. We had 59% ball possession. we look at the Manchester United, the Tottenham game where we drew 2-2 again, the last game, I think we had around 50-something% or 40-something%. So 45% ball possession. And then these were, so we had 2 away games where we drew. We had 2 home games where we won and 1 away game where we won. So if we look at the game against Chelsea where we won, we ended that game with 41% ball possession. And then you look at the the Burnley game where we won 3-2. We ended the game with 63% ball possession. And then if you look at the Fulham game, we ended the game, so we're looking at all the games this season, with 49% ball possession. Now, that Fulham game was a draw and all of that. So looking at all the games this season, I won't say that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not telling the truth. He must have done his research to actually come up with this stat, right? Yeah. So he says this is borne out by United's recent results. He says they tend to win more games when they've got 45% to 50% possession rather than 60 to 65. So in all of these games I called, all the games we won, all the 5 games we won, it's only one game we've had over 60% ball possession. The other ones, we either had 51, 59, and all of that. So what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said is true. Now, what does this explain, basically, with regards to the kind of players? I think Mainoo would go anywhere for game time. Yeah. Thank you, DJ Darkos Knight. He says, DJ Darkos Knight is saying, we think Mainoo would go anywhere for game time. Yeah. But I don't believe that Mainoo needs to leave, Ben. Like, I agree with you that Mainoo will go anywhere for game time because he's looking to make it to the World Cup squad. But I don't believe that Mainoo is gonna. I don't think he is. So this is me making a wild take. I don't think he's going to even go to the World Cup. But we will observe and we'll let you know as things pan out. And we'll also discuss it in the community. So thank you so much for joining. What does this whole 50%, 65% ball possession system style of play, what does it mean for Manchester United in the long run? It explains why Conor Gallagher is a high motor box-to-box runner. The high motor box-to-box runner is appealing, and why Mainoo, perhaps a more controlled possession-oriented midfielder, is currently struggling for minutes. But if you also look at it from the wider perspective, you will understand that Mainoo has not got that speed, mobility, and rhythm yet to actually play this system, compared to what experienced Casemiro is doing and what experienced Bruno Fernandes is doing. And obviously, in as much as we want to tell ourselves we want to convince ourselves that Mainoo can play defensive midfield, he's not a defensive midfielder, and you stifle him. And I'll tell you one astonishing thing that I found out over the last couple of days, especially as we're watching the international break. Kobbie Mainoo is a central midfielder, and he can play as a 10 as well, in the box-to-box role and everything. But I saw a midfielder that was a target for Man United in the last couple of years. Played for Wolves as well. A central midfielder, box-to-box and everything, in Matheus Nunes. Matheus Nunes, Portugal international, very athletic player, very agile player, box-to-box, and he has the ability to run and all of that. And I think Matheus Nunes played under Ruben Amorim. So let's quickly look at it. Matheus Nunes played under Ruben Amorim. I just quickly did a Google search where I said, did Matheus Nunes play under Ruben Amorim? And he did. let's talk about it. Matheus Nunes played under Ruben Amorim as Sporting CP. Amorim called him up to the first team in 2020, and Nunes was the key part of the squad that won the league title in 2021. Amorim gave him his first team debut in a league match against Vitória de Guimarães on June 4, 2020. Amorim also promoted Nunes to the first team squad along with other young players like Gonçalo Inácio and Nuno Mendes. Now, together, they helped Sporting win the Primeira Liga title in 2020 and 21 season, the club's first in 19 years. Why did I bring up Matheus Nunes? Why did I bring up Matheus Nunes? Okay. Now, let's look at Matheus Nunes. Matheus Nunes played for Sporting from 2019 to 2022, moved on to Wolverhampton Wanderers from 2022 to 2023, and then 2023 joined Manchester City. He's played, so at Sporting, he played 76 games, he scored 7 goals. At Wolverhampton Wanderers, played 36 games, he scored 1 goal. And at Manchester City, he's played 52 games, he scored only 2 goals. For Portugal, he's played 16 times, he scored only 2 goals. Now, he now being at Manchester City, guess what he's listed as? A defender. Pep Guardiola has converted him to a right back. And that is very disappointing and very saddening to see, but we have to talk about it. But we'll talk about it just after this short break, because I need to, clear things up and all of that. But yeah, after this short 2-3 minutes break, we'll talk about it. But I needed to talk about this Matheus Nunes thing because I'll explain it pretty much after this, and then tell you what I think about why we shouldn't we shouldn't think that Mainoo is a defensive midfielder. So I'll be right back. Welcome back once again. So thank you ITN, thank you DJ Darkos Knight for your comments. Just keep the comments coming. We'll be discussing things as they pan out. So Matheus Nunes, attacking midfielder I admired so much, or central midfielder that plays box to box, gives you that Bruno Fernandes vibes, but a bit more like a running guy. He's now playing as a right back and has been listed as a defender by all the sports websites you can go check it, you'll see. But obviously, if you look at his profile on maybe FotMob, he's listed as a defender. In fact, in yesterday's game, he was listed as a defender for Portugal. But I know he's an he's central midfielder. He plays like in attacking midfield role and all of that. That is Matheus. Just having a quick look. Matheus Nunes of Manchester City. Matheus Nunes of Manchester City. His primary role has now been moved. That's even what's most annoying and disheartening. He's 27 years old, has played only 50-something times for Manchester City. His primary role has now been moved to right back. He can play defensive midfield, can play central midfield, and can play as a left wing, but has been moved to right back. That is super annoying to see, super disheartening, super disappointing. This year he scored 1 goal, 1 assist, 7. He started 7 matches of 9. He's come on as as a sub for 2 matches or 2 games, and he has 694 minutes played so far. Right, he's been doing really good at right back, but that's like playing Szoboszlai at right back. That's it. His numbers are all yellow, like literally not really doing, not in the top, FootMob is reporting that he's played 41 games for Wolves and scored 1 goal. He's played 85 games for City and scored 5. For Sporting, as a free agent, he came in as a free agent, 101 games, 8 goals. Right. Now, for Portugal, he's played 16 games, 2 goals. He also played for Brazil. He was born in Rio de Janeiro. He played for Brazil in 2021. And then basically was called up to Brazil national team, but he's Portuguese, right? Now, at Man City, no doubt, he's won 1 Premier League, 1 FIFA Club World Cup. He has won 1 Community Shield. At Sporting, he won the Super League, he won the Liga Portugal, and he also won the Taça de Liga, which is what Ruben Amorim won in his first 2 years in charge. And then, before he moved to Wolves. Now, the reason why I brought this up is because we're talking about Mainoo here. Everybody's thinking, oh, Mainoo can play defensive midfield instead of getting Emmanuel Gate, he can play and all that. The last time we tried it against Brentford, he lost the ball and they scored us the 3rd goal that led to Brentford winning us 3-1. Right. Now, we have to talk about it, basically. Right. We cannot move Mainoo into a defensive midfield role. He's going to struggle. And then we need to play him as central midfielder or one of the 210s, which is where he's going to play eventually. But like DJ Darkos Knight is saying, he says him and his buddies are watching us. He says we think Mainoo would go anywhere for game time. Yeah, and if he goes, that's fine. Trust me. But we need him. We need him in the squad. We need him because obviously with the AFCON coming, there's a high chance he's going to play. Super high chance he's going to play, right? So, like I said, Amorim is prioritizing players who can withstand a high press and spring devastating counterattacks, which fits the profile of, we talked about the interest in Semenyo. We also talked about the interest in Conor Gallagher. We talked about Gomes as well. So these are players that are very athletic and all of that. In ranking them in order, we might not really say that Gallagher is high up that pitch, but he's high up that list. But Conor Gallagher seems to be of interest, basically. So the system is a prism. It's the prism through which all transfer decisions are now being viewed, especially when you have to sign players to fit that system. Then, in another aspect of these live streams, we're just going to talk about it because it came out as a news yesterday. There's a stand against abuse, and Mason Mount had an incident recently which we didn't even know about until it was brought to our notice yesterday. Let's touch this crucial story that transcends football results and speaks to the challenging culture in the game, or the changing culture in the game, which has begun to rear its ugly head these last couple of weeks, months, and years. During the match against Tottenham Hotspur, on Saturday, a 19-year-old man was arrested after allegedly verbally abusing Manchester United midfielder Mason Mount from the crowd. A member of the Spurs staff overheard the alleged offensive comment and reported it immediately, leading to the fan's removal and arrest by the Metropolitan Police. Now, Mount, who was on the pitch, reportedly didn't hear the abuse, but the swift action taken by the club and the authorities is a huge step forward. Now, the incident highlights the English game is finally shifting its mood away from, passing off abusive across this line when it comes to safety. ITN is saying McTominay, I don't need to move him on so quick. Yeah. He's a decent squad player, knowing how weak we are in midfield. That is with regards to Kobbie Mainoo. Yeah, ITN is saying that we don't need to move him on so quickly or even send him on loan. He's a decent squad player that can fit, basically the squad pretty quickly and all of that. So it's one of those things. Yeah. Now, we have to touch on some other news that has kind of been making the rounds, basically. This one is coming from, let's see which channel, because, like I said, we react to the news live. We don't just basically, read everything and then come on and we react to them live and all of that. Well, Manchester United make contact to sign Dortmund star Karim Adeyemi. That's the one we talked about yesterday, but they still put it out there, and this is according to Football Talk. Man United are plotting a swoop to sign Borussia Dortmund winger Karim Adeyemi. ITN said yesterday or brought to my attention yesterday that the guy had an issue with his manager and all of that. But Adeyemi completed his transfer from Red Bull Salzburg to Dortmund in the summer 2022. Since then, he has appeared 121 times for the German outfit, finding the net 29 times and assisting 22 goals. That's a very good return for a young player. It's a very good return. I think he's 23. This season, the 23-year-old has maintained his role as key contributor for Dortmund, featuring in 14 matches while scoring 3 goals and providing 3 assists. So 6 GA in 14 appearances. That's about 0.7 GA per game. Understanding 0.8 thereabout, underlining his ongoing importance. However, the promising forward has recently encountered a dry pitch, failing to add a goal or an assist since the end of September, despite a bright start to the campaign. Frustrations boiled over during Dortmund's 1-0 win over FC Köln last month. We talked about this. And then with regards to the news to Adeyemi to Man United, with Man United now expressing interest in Adeyemi, Dortmund could discuss internally over the youngster's future, especially if the Premier League side makes their interest concrete, according to the report. Adeyemi tends to operate mainly as a right-sided forward, the same role that Brian Mbeumo currently fills with Ruben Amorim's 3-4-3 system. And trust me, with his pace and ability and agility and his ability to defend, I wouldn't mind him being an addition to this system. He should just be ready to come and not play multiple games, because obviously this season is our transitional season. And meanwhile, the club that everybody is praising, that nobody wants to talk about, including Jimmy Carragher, is in a transition, are losing games back to back. Meanwhile, they spent hundreds of millions. But Man United, who is rebuilding a whole squad, is not in a transition season. But this is our transition season. While it is theoretically possible to deploy him as a right wing back, it seems doubtful that Amorim would rely on his defensive abilities consistently in that role. So the German international has also been deployed centrally at times, and his remarkable pace would also make him an intriguing option for Ruben Amorim in midfield, or as an attacking option. ITN is saying that we have a big issue controlling games, even for small periods of time. It's down to the manager to implement that. Keeping the ball is crucial. That is what ITN is saying, and that's facts. Implementing it is where the big deal is, because we need a midfielder who can control the game, but also we need to also be able to get out of our box as well. Instead of, especially when we've scored 2 goals or 1 goal, instead of trying to come out with transitions and try to play long or try to counter attack, why don't we try to control games, which is what we need to do as time goes on. Now, with regards to Amorim's system, however, he has most top players in recent years, especially with the German club, they would likely insist on a steep fee above his £52 million transfer market valuation, basically making the summer move the more probable opportunity for United to make a swoop. So obviously it's not a January window situation where we need to focus on. There's other news with regards to, there was this one I saw a few days ago, but I don't know, I forgot to bring it to you guys. Basically, Man United plot a move for Alex Scott. It's been updated today as well. Man United are reportedly planning to make a move to sign Tottenham Hotspur target and AFC Bournemouth's star Alex Scott, as per Spanish outlet Fichajes. I really do not like the guy's takes. He just drops wild takes, but it is what it is. He seems to be stirring the pot a lot. Now, the Cherries were once an inconsistent side, often fluctuating between Premier League and Championship. However, since Andoni Iraola's arrival as manager, they have firmly established themselves as a top flight club. Now, with regards to that they finished top half last season. They let go of Dinhausen and Ilya Zabanyi to Real Madrid and PSG. Now Kekes also joined Liverpool, and Arsenal decided to purchase Kepa Arrizabalaga to support David Raya in the transfer window. And on the other hand, Tottenham Hotspur brought Dominic Solanke in a club record fee to replace Harry Kane last year. Now Antoine Semenyo has started attracting a lot of attention, having displayed impressive performances thus far this season. And Fijahe states that apart from the Ghanaian, Scott has placed himself on the radar for the upper echelon of Premier League teams, with Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur, among the interested teams. We also have to look at it from perspective. Let's kind of analyze and talk about the battle later, and then I'll tell you what I think about Alex Scott. The 23-year-old's existing deal is set to run to 2028 and is valued at around £22 million. Therefore, Bournemouth are in a strong position to demand a big fee to let him leave next year. Joao Palhinha and Rodrigo Bentancur have been the first choice midfield pairing for Spurs and Thomas Frank thus far this season. However, the pair haven't been able to complement each other properly. Joao Palhinha obviously is on loan from Bayern Munich to Tottenham Hotspur as well. But on the other hand, Man United have a long-term problem in the engine room and are set to be prioritizing addressing this issue next year. A plethora of names have been linked with the move to Old Trafford ahead of the upcoming winter window, with Scott emerging as a new target. The Englishman likes to be deployed in the double midfield pivot role and could be a shrewd acquisition for Man United or Tottenham Hotspur should either club eventually manage to secure his service. What do you guys think about Alex Scott? I've not really watched him, but I can actually tell you that I think from what we've basically seen the last couple of games for Bournemouth, he seems to be doing really well for them in that midfield, and he's quite young. He's 23, so getting him this year, getting him next year will still be a good deal to strike for the club. Then there's also the news that came out yesterday. I saw another news that Carlos Baleba deal is close, but I can't confirm it, so I won't tell you for a fact that is what it is. Then we also there's also news that Man United are signing Stuttgart star Angelo signing Stuttgart star Angelo Stiller. We've talked about this multiple times on this channel, but Man United are reportedly keen on signing VfB Stuttgart star Angelo Stiller. As per transfer journalist Ben Jacobs, the 24-year-old is a product of Bayern Munich's youth system, and the Bavarian club have produced top-class young talents in recent years with Alexander Pavlovic, Kenan Yildiz, and Jamal Musiala, a few notable names. Now, the tradition of developing young talents isn't new. They previously produced world-class players like Thomas Müller, David Alaba, Philipp Lahm, and Bastian Schweinsteiger. Now, Stiller to Man United with regards to that is that he's high on their radar, as Christopher Vevel and Jason Wilcox appreciate the midfielder highly, and his contract is still valid until 2028, and the German side has a £35 million release clause, which will also become active next summer. However, Stuttgart can remove that clause by paying €2 million, and if they eventually do that, the Germany international will become more expensive. Stiller is left-footed and technically gifted deep line playmaker, and he is composed with possession and can play line-breaking passes between the lines, and is also efficient in winning ground duels. Man United have struggled with midfield problems thus far this season. Casemiro has been not been inconsistent. It's more of Manuel Ugarte being inconsistent in the team. This report is, especially with Football Talk, they just kind of add theirs, right? Man United have struggled with midfield problems, and they say thus far that Casemiro has been inconsistent, and that's a lie, because all the games that Casemiro has been involved in for us this season, we without won it or drawn it, right? Now, while Manuel Ugarte has failed to find his feet, and Premier League Kobbie Mainoo, on the other hand, has found himself on the periphery and wants to leave. Now, United want a midfielder like Stiller, who can actually dictate with possession, and he might be a shrewd acquisition should Ruben Amorim's side purchase him. However, it is going to be interesting to see whether Old Trafford, whether Man United can eventually make the concrete approach to secure the services in January or next summer. We will observe that, and yeah, we'll observe that. I'm seeing, because there's nothing said. Clubs have set to battle Amorim over Anderson's signature. United are now keen with the midfielder enjoying a meteoric rise in performance. Performances, Forest appear to be bracing up for persistent interest as the journalist added, Conor, as the journalist adds that Forest have set £100 million price tag on the 23-year-old, with United now keen. Like I said, every time that Man United becomes keen on a player, the price goes up, and it's undeniable that the price has gone up for what's his name? For Anderson. Then there's also, and Herrera explains how Argentine Super Classico compares to Man United's fiercest rivalries, and that's with regards to Ander Herrera talking about himself playing at the Argentine League. And then also there's also news with regards to Man United rivaling Barcelona for a midfielder. Tottenham Hotspur battling Man United and Barcelona to land £44 million Serie A winning midfielder, and that is Scott McTominay. Like I said, they always want to bring him up. For a few years now, Serie A has become the competition where Premier League flops go on to revive their career. For me, I don't feel like Scott McTominay was a flop, but it is what it is. Now, no one has arguably had a quicker turnaround than Scott McTominay, who went from a much maligned figure at Man United due to the fans, might I add, to being one of the central pillars of Napoli's side, who won the Scudetto last season. Now, over recent weeks, it has been suggested that Spurs are eyeing a move for Scott McTominay in the January window, with Thomas Frank keen to reinforce his options in midfield. But Tottenham will face plenty of competition for Scott McTominay, and it has now been reported that by Marcus Bruce on Cut-Off side that Man United have entered the race to re-sign the 28-year-old who was sold to Napoli in 2024. The journalist states that United have been impressed with Scott McTominay's development and want to bring him back to Old Trafford. They should have then sent him on loan, but that's a lie. While Newcastle, United and Barcelona are also circling over the midfielder, Bruce also claims that an industry source told him that there is concrete interest in Scott McTominay. Manchester United would have him back and keep an eye on Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur. Barcelona also view him as someone who could also be a good fit for their midfield. Yeah, how legitimate and how legitimate is this? How much will Spurs have to pay for McTominay in January? Bruce explains that despite the growing interest in the Scotland International Services, getting him out of Naples will not be easy, and that is because McTominay has no intention of pushing for a move, which means that the offer will have to be big enough to test Napoli's resolve to tempt them to cashing in. He adds that it could take a bid of around 50 million, which is for 4.2 million pounds, to price the midfielder away from the Diego Maradona Stadium in January. So we will observe that. And basically, I know Man United is not going back for Scott McTominay, but it is what it is. So like I said, every time they bring Man United's name into the mix, it just kind of takes everything to another level, and it makes Man United the price for the player and Man United fans to actually want to read and hear what they have to say with regards to him or to whichever player we are interested in. Then you have to also think about it from the perspective of another article which talks about Man United keen on recruiting this Bundesliga midfielder. Should Amorim snap him up? That's a question, and that should be like a And that's the Angelo Stiller one, and that's an opinion piece, basically. And like I said, I don't really rate most of the reports we get most times unless they're coming from like top sources. Fichajes is one that always tells you top sources. Another one is what's his name? Another one is this guy, Indikaila. He tends to drop stuff, but then we can also tell, you know, some of those things that were being said. Slovenia manager, we talked about this yesterday. Slovenia manager Matthias Kek, yeah, that's his name. The name is spelled Matjz, so Matthias Kek. Never seen a name like that. Now, Matthias Kek has criticized the England media for sensationalizing the comments made on Benjamin Sesko's injury that misrepresented the situation as a potential diplomatic incident between the club and national team. You see why this media, mainstream media, they will just blow things out of proportion. But it is what it is. Completely expected from the English media, but I emphasize once again, I'm sure this was a press conference. I emphasize once again, the moment communication was established between us and Manchester United medical team, the problem was solved in 5 minutes. I thank the club for their cooperation. Our medical team checked their documentation. The matter was quickly resolved. I wish Benjamin a successful rehabilitation and a speedy return to the field, because everyone knows him, that he feels the best here, right? He feels best there, right? So they will just blow things out of proportion. They will just make things really, really disappointing and hard to kind of comprehend, but it is what it is. Now, Man United, now this news came out from Samuel Lacoste. He used to be Man United, he used to be a staff of Manchester Evening News. Now, Samuel Lacoste has come out to say that Man United's Ruben Amorim lowers training intensity to reduce injuries. Manchester United's manager Ruben Amorim has reduced the training intensity in days before matches to keep players fresh and minimize injury risk, addressing complaints from the Erik ten Hag era about overly demanding sessions. The shift has led to fewer absences, with Lisandro Martinez returning to training and minor issues to players like Benjamin Sesko and Kobbie Mainoo resolving quickly. The approach aligns with the modern coaching practices, and he supported improved performances in recent games amid lighter schedule. Samuel Lacoste works at the Sun, former chief United writer at the MEN. Yeah. Now, this is what he said, and this is the news that he said. Ruben Amorim has adjusted Man United's training pattern so that their daily sessions become less intense as they approach match day, ensuring players are as fresh as possible for their fixture. Excluding Lisandro Martinez, who was injured a long time ago, United players have missed only a combined 10 games this season through injury. Yep. So we've had less injuries this season, but it is what it is. And basically, with what Lacoste is saying, one of the criticisms of former manager Erik ten Hag from several United players was that his training sessions were too intense and contributed to their infamous injury toll. Well, it all depends on where you take the news from. It's Lacoste. He says a lot of things, but it is what it is. Now, with Benjamin Sesko's injury, the question you might now want to ask is, what next? What next for Manchester United? What next for Manchester United players? What next for the squad and all of that? And we will talk about it. Just a quick second here. We'll talk about it. Right. Now, Manchester United promote Chido Obi to first team amid Sesko injury and Zexi retention. Now, this is trending, and this is according to Samuel Lacoste again. Samuel Lacoste. 17-year-old striker Chido Obi has rejoined Manchester United's first team training after impressing in on 21s, filling in a gap caused by Benjamin Sesko's knee injury sustained in November 9th, which will sideline the Slovenian for several weeks We have not seen any official report to say he's been sidelined for several weeks, but the club has decided to block any January transfer for Joshua Zirkzee, the 36.5 million signing from Bologna, million pounds signing from Bologna, despite his limited starts as he provides essential cover for the African Cup of Nations absences for players like Brian Mbeumo and Diallo. Obi and Amad Diallo. Obi's promotion highlights Man United's strategy to integrate youth talent under manager Ruben Amorim during the demanding period, and that's lackluster. Now, let's go to train with Manchester United's first team this week. While it's normal for academy players to be called up during the international breaks, Obi was particularly happy to be back involved, with the club still assessing the extent of Benjamin Sesko's injury, and the young striker may be called upon to play a bigger role in the coming months. So still a long way, still a long time, but it's news, and because it's news, we will bring it to you. So that's by the way. Then there is other things. Now the news about Andre Onana has popped up again. Manchester United, this is according to Fabrizio Romano. Andre Onana is not expected to be part of Manchester United's plans for next season. United are happy with St. Lawrence. This is according to Fabrizio Romano. Further details said just in. This was posted by United Exclusive. With regards to Fabrizio Romano's post on or comments on YouTube, he states Andre Onana will return to Manchester United in the summer as there is no buy option in the contract. United are super happy with United are super happy with St. Lawrence, and my understanding is that Onana will not be a part of the future, and they will likely try to sell him. So he will return, and then they will likely try to sell him. Andre Onana is not expected to be part of Man United's plans next season, but United are happy to sell with St. Lawrence. The same news is recycled, and because it came from Fabrizio Romano, they're going to blow it out. Now, the summary of the entire news. I haven't seen much as he's pretty new to the scene. Let him stay and progress. Yeah, facts. I agree with you, ITN. ITN says I haven't seen much as he's pretty new to the scene. Let him stay and progress. Manchester United plan permanent sale of Andre Onana after loan return. So basically he comes back. United intend to sell Andre Onana permanently when he returns from his season-long loan from Trabzonspor next summer. The club is confident in backup goalkeeper. Is he now a backup goalkeeper? No, he's a starting goalkeeper whose performances have led to an unbeaten run and a better defense. Onana signed from Inter Milan for £47 million in 2023. £47 million is okay for goalkeeper. It's not really expensive. Faced criticisms for errors at Old Trafford and backlash from fans. I'm adding that to mine because basically Man United fans did not give that guy breathing space. Apparently, yesterday was Nuzai Mazraoui's birthday. And then it is reported that St. Lawrence could make his senior international bow this month, according to Manchester United's Instagram handle. Yeah. So it is what it is. Yeah. It is what it is. Manchester United expect Kobbie Mainoo to be fit for the Everton game, so probably he's going to be back. That's rumor. According to Samuel Lacoste as well. Still staying a little bit longer on Manchester United news. Manchester United want to move fast to win the race to sign. This is according to Central Transfer. Manchester United want to, and Central Transfer is basically the daily briefing. They have 417,000 followers on X. And they said Manchester United want to move fast to win the race for Antoine Semenyo, who is also attracting interest from Liverpool ahead of January transfer window. Talked about it a couple days ago, yesterday or 2 days ago, and all of that. So, and then let's go to our wonderful Indy Kyler, who says Casemiro exclusive. This was 11 hours ago. Exclusive. Casemiro was handed a contract worth £350,000 a week when he joined United over 3 years ago. We understand that Man United will give a new contract in the summer on £120,000 to £150,000 a week, and the player will also talk to Saudi clubs to see his options. Yeah, this sounds just about it. Just sounds just about it. We'll talk to Saudi, we'll get some money back from him, or probably, I think his contract ends this summer. Yeah, it ends in 2026, right? So, and then obviously Samalakos, still on Samalakos and his news, he says Man United have told Joshua Zirkzee that there is no chance for him to leave the club in January. He will play. Facts. He will play. That's one thing I know for a fact. I've seen the news where Mateusz Cunha has been asked if he would ever join Arsenal, and he says, let me just listen to that. Mateusz Cunha has been asked if he would ever join Arsenal, and he says, he laughs and says no, or something. Let me hear. Yeah, he laughs. Let's hear. Yeah. So he laughs in a very weird way. It's a very funny laugh in it. So it is what it is. Fabrizio Romano also says on Jadon Sancho is expected to leave Manchester United on a free transfer in the summer. I mean, well, we know that for a fact. We know that that's definitely what's going to happen, and all of that he's going to leave in the summer. But it is what it is. Fantasy Premier League is posting something about Man United having a favorite Premier League run, and I have a feeling. I don't want to say this but I have to say it. They're pushing the narrative that Man United have a favorable run, just in case something happens and Man United don't win games in this favorable run. Then there'll be an issue, and then they start to say, "Oh, we had a favorable run. Why didn't we?" In the next 5 games, we have maybe 3 interesting games that we can potentially win. Of the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, of next 6 games, we have 3 interesting games that we could potentially win. The first one is Everton. We're playing Everton at home. We definitely have to win that one. There's no chance we're losing that at home. We have a good home record this season and stuff. So yeah, we haven't drawn a game at home. We've only lost 1 at home and won the remaining 3 back-to-back games. Then Crystal Palace, a very tough game. It's a game of the chess matches. If we get a draw there, that's fine. But for me, I would want us to win. But it's a game of chess matches. It's going to be a 3-4-3 system. Oliver Glasner's 3-4-3 versus Renan Amorim's 3-4-3, and it'll be very interesting to see how that game pans out. It's going to be an away game. The next one is West Ham United at home. We play West Ham at home, and that would be another interesting game to see. That's the last 6 games before the cycle starts again with return legs for all games from game week 12 to game week 17. After this international break, we don't have any international football until March, except for the AFCON that takes place in December. So you look at the West Ham game, they probably would have had 2 wins on the spin from the next couple of games when they play. But Nuno Espirito Santo is a good manager, and he's very good defensively, and I think he beat Renan Amorim twice last season or once. Right, so West Ham, well, we could beat them. They still play that 3-5-2-2 as well, and they also play a 3-4-3, and they also play 4-2-3-1 as well under Nuno Espirito Santo. So that's a home game, so we definitely have to win that game. It's a favorable game. Wolves, they're 20th. We shouldn't underrate them. We're definitely going to win them. So in 4 games, if we're looking at being realistic, we have 9 points plus 10 points from a possible 12. So then we have Bournemouth, a really tough game at home. We definitely have to win. And then we have Aston Villa. Considering what we've done against them last season, we should be able to win. But then they have hit hot form, and they're actually topping us on the table and stuff. So it'll be super interesting to see how that pans out. Yeah. And then according to Mail Sport, basically, Manchester United are exploring a move for Sporting Lisbon prospect Salvador Blopa, who is 18 years old, according to Simon Jones of the Mail Sport. So we will observe that. Yeah, it is pretty much interesting to see this one is catching my attention, and because it's Eric Cantona that's saying it. He said, I went to Old Trafford last season to the game against Manchester City, and I thought it was quiet. Manchester United fans prefer to go away to away matches to be the real fans than to be surrounded by people who come from different parts of the world just to go to the merchandise store. We have to be closer to the real things of football, to the working people. Football is a working class game. It's important we don't lose that. If I lived in England, I would prefer to be a fan for a club that is in the third or fourth division. I don't find the energy that we had in the past, and it's not the fault of the fans, it's the fault of the people who are in charge of the clubs, the economic system. Well, that's his opinion, and this was by Oliver Brown on X and all of that. Eric Cantona speaks on Sir Jim Ratcliffe rejecting his offer to help rebuild. This is the same thing by Oliver Brown. And he says, I have many other passions and projects, but I thought that for 2 or 3 years, I could maybe put those to the side and try to give something to the club, which has given everything to me. But he didn't seem interested, and I did what I had to do, so I don't feel guilty anymore. I tried my best. Sir Alex Ferguson created a style of beautiful attacking football, which new owners should have used. Instead, they destroyed it. That's some really heavy words coming from a club legend in Eric Cantona. But it is what it is. We've moved on from the old ways, because the old ways never worked. The culture has been rotten for years and all of that. Then the next one is Manchester United hold an interest in 19-year-old AZ Alkmaar midfielder Keys Smith. Christopher Vivell has mentioned his name in internal talks and is expected and the expected fee is around 25 million. He's 19 years. He's a midfielder. Is he an attacking midfielder? We don't know. And then I saw this one and I was like, nah, that's not true. But it is what it is, according to the Sun, right? The Sun says Manchester United have identified Malmo's Swedish goalkeeper Melka Elbog, right, as a potential backup to Belgian St. Lomans. Okay, now it makes sense. But it doesn't make sense. He is only 10 months younger than Lomans. Oh yeah, as a young goalkeeper, he will need to go to a bigger club to be the first team there. 6'3", Elbog saved 6'3" in Elbog saved a penalty against Panathinaikos last week in the Europa League group phase, according to the Sun. There is Radek Vitek. Radek Vitek came out to say a few things yesterday about him hoping that one day he would come back to the club to play. So yeah. We will break down a few more transfer news before we wrap it up. No side has scored more first half goals than Manchester United, 11 in the Premier League this season. However, they've considered the most second half goals, 14, and need to be more consistent across the 90, which is what Amorim has said we're working on to build on. And then obviously Manchester United are reportedly exploring a move for Sporting Lisbon's Salvador Blopa, an 18-year-old defensive prospect. Blopa, who can operate as a right back or a right midfield, is compared to former teammate Nuno Mendes due to his dynamic running and strong reading of the game. But at 6'2", he offers a more physical presence both defensively and in attack, and that is according to Simon Jones. Then, speaking of another transfer that needs to end, potentially, Marcus Rashford is expected to leave Manchester United on a permanent transfer in 2026. Barcelona will take their time to decide on their £30 million buyer option, but they are very happy with the player, and that's according to Fabrizio Romano. It is what it is. Lisandro Martinez is seen to be training with the Argentina national team, and he's doing really well. Manchester United can swoop in. This is according to Team Talk. Manchester United can swoop in for Motem Human from Sporting at 30 million euros at the 30 million euros discount. His 80 million euros release clause is only valid until June, from June 1st to 15th. For the captain's loyalty since arriving, Sporting are prepared to let him leave for around 50 to 60 million euros after June 15th, and that's like next year, right? So yeah, we'll dig deep into this this 18-year-old defensive prospect Salvador Blopper, and we'll talk about it in another video. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we build towards other things. Jadon Sancho is expected to leave Man United on a free transfer this summer, which is not new news. Brazil and Wolves midfielder, we've talked about him, but this, according to Mail Sport, is being looked at by Manchester United in the attempts to strengthen the number 6 position. United are trying to drive down the wage bill and move for Gomes, and the move for Gomes isn't thought to be one that will break the bank. So yeah, it is what it is. So we're going to wrap it up. Then there's another news that I'm just seeing now. It's according to Rousy Francois. He has 12,000. He's a French journalist. He has 12,000 followers on X, and he says Manchester United scouted both Jeremy Jacquet. I'm going to call it Jacquet because it's French. So Jeremy Jacquet and Mohamed Kadar Meite for Rennes against Paris FC last week. So yeah, we scouted him. We shall see how things pan out. It is what it is. Athletic Club are interested in 15-year-old Manchester United goalkeeper Darlington Osuchukwu, who played in Spain's under 17, who's played in Spain's under 17's 4-1 win over Czechia this week. Osuchukwu is from Murcia, but qualifies to play for Athletic Club because he represented Gazet Berriac in Pamplona until he was 13. So I've seen the guy a couple of times, but just in like highlights of our under 17s or under 18s, and yeah, he seems to be a good prospect and all of that. So yeah, we'll be back again with another live, and with, I think we'll come back with another live tomorrow, but we'll see as things pan out, and then if there is an opportunity to do that, we will do that. Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. Manchester United English defender Harry Amas is set to continue his loan at Sheffield Wednesday beyond the January transfer window. Senior figures at United believe that Amas has developed significantly during his first few months there, so they want the development to not be stunted, so he doesn't come back to Man United and sit on the bench. Yeah. So let's wrap it up. Manchester United in January is a game of calculated risks. Basically, we need players, but we need to calculate and get good deals so we don't have to make things difficult for us, especially signing players that we don't need. Man United are juggling a potential loan swap for Conor Gallagher and Kobbie Mainoo, poised to pounce on a relegation bargain with Joao Gomes, and all of this underpinned by a massive corporate Sir Jim Ratcliffe rebuild that has fundamentally changed the financial and structural realities of the club. Now the ambition is Champions League football, and the means are now patient, basically optimistic and strategic, right? What do you think? What do you think is the bigger risk? Letting Mainoo go out on loan, or passing up on the chance to sign Conor Gallagher? Which is the bigger risk? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And is Joao Gomes also a perfect piece of anchor in Amorim's system? Is he a perfect piece to anchor Amorim's system? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section as well. Right, so put it in the comment section and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything that relates to Manchester United. Also, let us also look into Redek Vitek just a little bit, because we read a few a few things. I saw a few things last night on Redek Vitek, and I just wanted to, before we wrap things up, I saw something. Yeah, Redek Vitek, according to Sky, says this is what he said with regards to him returning to Manchester United. They say, we'll see next summer what's best for me. I speak on a regular basis with my goalkeeper coach from Manchester United, who has come here to watch my games, and I have a good connection with them. I know they are watching me, and I really appreciate that I am not just the guy who is being forgotten or anything. Obviously, long term, I would love to play for Manchester United one day, but also I'm realistic, and I know that my pathway can lead somewhere different as well. So Redek Vitek is the reason why I said this is the Man United's chase for the goalkeeper that saved the I've forgotten his name. He saved the penalty against Panathinaikos in the Europa League to kind of be the second to St. Lomans is unrealistic, because obviously we will let go of Arthur, no doubt, and the other goalkeeper will also let go of him as well. So what does that mean? That we'll need at least 2 goalkeepers. So Redek Vitek can be a very good, credible number 2. He's doing really well where he's playing, and then obviously he's making waves as well. And then obviously, if you look at other potentials, we have Eli Harrison coming up as well. We have like loads of players coming up as well, right? We can actually use in that goalkeeping department. We have a lot. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. Do you think Redek Vitek is going to make for a good backup goalkeeper for Manchester United in the coming years? I mean, I believe so. I think it's 21, and he's gaining valuable experience in English football. So St. Lomans too will be a good leader in front of him. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we build up to the end of the international break. Whatever happens, I'll let you know, and I'll bring it to you. And we might also go live when the opportunity comes. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much to ITN for always showing up. Thank you to DJ Darkos Knight for joining with his friends. I don't take it for granted. Please do like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as relates to Manchester United. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.